All right, I think that's everyone. I think it's time. My name is Jason. I run a website called hamandeggsmusic.ca. I develop plugins for Korg synthesizers mostly, and for other synthesizers, including the Electrosmith Daisy platform, which is kind of a Arduino for modular or for just synthesis in general. And I had an idea where I thought if I can get this thing to play Commodore 64 SID music, it would A, give my modular synth something to do, and B, it would be a lot of fun to interact with the vast library that there is of 64 music. I mean, there's so much out there that it's so much fun to kind of revisit that music that I used to love to listen to when I was a kid. So it's a lot of fun. And I'll talk a little bit about how all this works, and then we'll listen to two demos. First demo will be with the Daisy platform, where what it's going to be doing is emulating the whole 64 and then sending 3 channels for the SID plus the Digi / any of the filter channels. So 4 channels out of audio, and as well generating control voltage and gate for one voice. And this cartridge that I'm working on right now, what it does is it actually monitors the writes to the SID, and in real time will convert those to CV and gate for voice 1, 2, and 3. It's clearly in development in progress. You can see it's got a lot of bodge wires and it's kind of janky, but I mean, I literally just finished this last week and started working on it a month ago. The version that I'm going to release of that will have every register exposed of the SID. So all the control registers, all of the pulse width, all the voice pitches, and all that stuff will be exposed as control voltages or gates. And then my goal will be to replicate the entire SID in a modular synth. So it'll be the world's most expensive SID replacement. So yeah, so we'll go over a little quick demo, a little quick introduction for those of you that aren't familiar with what modular synthesis and analog synthesis from the modular perspective is. First off, I wanted to mention myself. I've been working with Commodore computers since I was about 12. This is a picture of me when I was about 12 years old, using a VIC-20, doing some of my first programming as a kid at my grandfather's place, and I fell in love with the VIC-20 and then the 64 later on after that, and I've been doing this sort of stuff since then. I never really let go. I kind of fell out of it for a bit and then got back into it recently with doing all this stuff, and recently picked up the Ultimate, and it's just a game changer. It's just so much, so much easier not mucking around with the old discs, although I was able to read all my old discs, which was nice with one of those USB floppies. So I've got my old homework from grade 8, so I don't know why, but I still do. So just a quick overview of modular synthesis. The idea with a modular synth is that all the components from a synthesizer are separate. You don't have an actual monolithic synth that has voices and all that stuff. It's just literally, if you want a filter, you buy a module. You want an envelope, you buy a module. You want an oscillator, you buy a module. And they're all different. There's different kinds. There's different manufacturers. There's different advantages and disadvantages to all of them, if you will. The ones that I particularly like for oscillators are the Electrosmith ones, only because it has the separate waveforms for each oscillator individually accessible. Now, the reason I bought those was when I do want to convert this actual SID chip, I want to have all those. I don't want to have to use a switch. I want to actually be able to get at those. So that's why I picked those guys. And what else did I write here? Yeah, everything must be patched together. If you want it to make sound, you got to start plugging the patches in, and that's where the term, a synth patch comes from. It literally comes from old analog synthesizers. And you've got, different signal types, control voltages, which are just a volt. So 1 volt is 1 octave higher than 0 volts. 2 volts is 1 octave higher than 1 volt. That sort of thing. And gates, which are your digital on and off signal. And then you've got your audio signals, which are anywhere from low frequency to audio frequency. And the really cool thing about modular is there's nothing wrong with plugging an audio signal into a control voltage input and then modulating an oscillator that way. If you really want to, you want to use control voltage to run a gate, you can do that. I mean, it's literally up to you. There's really no wrong way to kind of play with this stuff. So here's the different signal types, and there's no reason why these can't be interchanged. And the gate signal it's akin to like the gate signal on a keyboard. When you're pressing a key down, that's a gate on. You let go of the key, the gate is off. The same sort of thing. So that can trigger an envelope generator, or it can do whatever you. Generally, that's what you would do with that. Being modular and being analog in the purest of sense, it is not exactly problem-free. If you look at it funny, it'll be out of tune. If it's cold, it'll be out of tune. I've had to have this plugged in all day to make sure it's up to date, it's up to tune, and I had to have it plugged in before we started the demo. Bad cables, you can run into a crappy cable, and you're like, why is this not? Well, it's a bad cable. You throw that out. And your modules themselves will have little potentiometers on them to calibrate them, and you have to dial all that in. But once you got it all dialed in, it works really, really well, and everything kind of generally just sounds really good. A lot of people like to use modular synthesizers to do what I call bleeps and bloops, which is just fine, do sound effects, and you can get them just plugging stuff in to make all kinds of really cool sounds, but I like to do more musical stuff with it, so I tend to be a little more precise with my calibration. It does take a little longer, but once it's done, it's done. Yeah, this is literally what I just said, so we'll go to the next page. So one example of a problem that you can run to is I have these digital to analog converters which are used to generate the actual 1 volt per octave signal. And in a perfect world, the graph looks like this. 0 volts is 0 when you set the DAC to 0. When you set the DAC to its highest value, these are 12-bit DACs or 49.5, you get 5 volts. But the reality is it ends up looking something like this. You end up with, it doesn't start here. It goes only this high. And for instance, when I was running my DACs off of the 64's 5-volt output, it would change based on what the 64 was doing. If the ultimate cart was loading, it would change and everything would go out of tune. It was like, okay. So for this, I'm actually running an external USB battery to power the analog side of this, because otherwise the voltage is just all over the place and everything's out of tune and it sounds like absolute garbage. So this is an overview of the Electrosmith Daisy module. This is all open source. So what this is, it's an ARM 480 megahertz STM32 chip, ARM H7. So floating port support. It has an extra 64 megabytes of RAM attached to it, an extra 32 megabytes of flash. You can kind of do whatever you want. And the beauty of this is it provides, and then with this module, 4 analog audio outputs and inputs with a real codec. So not just using the microcontrollers, analog to digital converters for that. 2 DAC outputs, 1 gate output, and some other inputs that I'm not using. And then for what I've done with this is I've made a SID player. So I've actually emulated the SID and the 6502. But to play SID tunes properly and to play all of them, you've got to emulate the VIC to get the VIC interrupt. You have to emulate the CIA to get the CIA interrupt and the NMI interrupts for the digis and all that sort of stuff. So it's not just a simple 6502 emulator. It has to do all of that. So these are the different controls that you get and the different outputs that I get from this. So the individual SID voices, or if a SID voice is routed to a filter, it comes out the 4th one. And then you have the digi coming out of that as well. So the D418 samples. On top of this, what I started to do just for this show and started to really kind of get into it was build a cartridge. And what the cartridge does is it monitors the actual bus on the 64 and captures any writes to both 00, so 0 page, and D400. I capture the 0 page so that I can tell whether the SID is enabled or not. I'm still working on that part, but the important part is it captures the writes to D400. And what it does is it routes that over to RP2040, which is a Raspberry Pi Pico. And what that does is it then converts the writes to the SID to these DACs on the board and to a shift register for more I/O, so DACs for the pitch and for the gate from the SID. Right now, this cart as it is, it's a work in progress. I don't know, you can't really see it on this, but it's a ball of wires and there's a lot of bodge wires on there. You can check it out later. But it works. And right now it only does voice 1, 2, and 3 pitch and voice 1, 2, and 3 gate. When I'm done with this project and I release it, it's going to do every single register that's on the SID. So all pulse width, it'll do the pitch, gate, all the bits for the individual control register, as well as the filter and all that stuff. It'll be all brought out and do a bunch of 1/8-inch jacks for you to plug into your synth and do whatever you want. Like I said, my goal with this is to create the most expensive and temperamental SID chip possible. And I'm about 90% of the way there. I don't know what just happened with the monitor. Yep. Oh, it times out? If there's anything I need to do?
No. I keep forgetting, sorry.
Oh, okay. Do I just need to kind of touch that every now and then to keep it alive? Okay, I can do that.
I have to.
No, I every now and then I'll poke at it. So yeah, that's my goal with this. And the idea will be with this cart is you just plug it in and you don't have to, the cool thing about that is you don't have to do anything. You don't have to write any software to use it. You just play a song, play a game, and it'll make your SID, your modular synth, make that sound based on whatever game or whatever song it is that you're playing. And there's, like I said, with the high voltage SID collection, there's so much music out there to play with. With the Daisy module, you can put them on an SD card, put them in there, and then go through the songs and play them and play with them and have some fun. And I put extra controls in there to control the speed of the tune and things like that. And with the cartridge, it's literally, it's going to do what your computer's doing. So if your computer's playing at the wrong speed, well, it's going to be the wrong speed. But you'll have to, it's a little more work. This is currently patched to show the Daisy side, and I'm going to, after we do a little demo of that, I'll repatch it to show the SID side, and we'll literally build the SID chip together as much as you can with this, and then it'll be making noise. So, and now it's on to the demos. Right. So, I will find a song that I like. I like this one. And what I've got here is, you can see me just fine. The Daisy module, again, it's going to send the SID voices out 1, 2, and 3 here. Voice 4 here will be whatever is being filtered, and whatever, if there's a digi playing, it'll come out of that one as well. So output number 4 will be that. The control voltages, where one will be to control the filter frequency. This filter right here, this module here is an SSM 2144 filter. It literally is just an audio filter, and it is being controlled by the virtual SID in this chip. So its frequency is being controlled by that. I can offset it with this knob if I want to, which is also quite handy to be able to do, because if the song isn't quite sound right, you can just tune the filter a little bit. And then I have the actual control voltage for the pitch for the selected oscillator, which in this case will be the bass oscillator, going to this guy here, which is a Model D, which is a clone of a Mini Moog Model D. So it has 3 oscillators, and it has a filter built in. So it does a lot of stuff for me, and an envelope's already built in, so I don't need to patch too much to get that to go. So if I start this, and I'll bring up all my sounds here, and the cool thing, because it's my player, I can slow it down if I want to do that. And if we listen, you can hear that's what it's sending to the synthesizer here from the bass channel from that. And if I bring up the, that's the SID bass mixed in as well with the digi. And to get that digi to work, I had to emulate the actual CIA, so both the NMI and the CIA interrupts are being enabled. And if I enable the other voices, if I want to, I can pan them in stereo, or I can add some reverb to that. If I want to, I could play with the bass here on that song. I want to do that. And it's, like I said, it's a lot of fun to sort of play with the existing library that exists already for the SID. There's so much music out there. I can turn that down a little bit. And if I want to, I can find another song. So if we do Ghosts and Goblins, for instance, if we listen to, I don't want to listen to that song, I want to listen to the main one. And what I'll do with that is I will, let me just get this guy, these 2 guys up. Give you an idea of some of the stuff you can do with that. No. Delta, I may not, who did that one? That's Rob. I don't know if I have that one on here. Let me just tune this guy. That's one of the things with this, is you got to tune it all the time. So I just changed one of these up. So then we'll do, yeah, right. I'm going to do, okay. We're going to bring this up.
Just a quick question. You said that card is going to emulate everything that the SID sends. So what about things that the SID takes in, like ENV3?
I like I mean, I don't do anything with that.
Because you can use that to modify sound.
Sure, you can. If the song is using that, I mean,
that's what I use in my program,
right? Right. The SID is already going to do all that internally. I'm just capturing whatever the SID is sending out. So I could regenerate that if I wanted to, but I'm really only interested in whatever people are writing to the SID. So if you're writing a certain song to the SID, then I'm going to capture that, and I'm going to capture the stuff. As far as envelope 3 return goes, the SID's already going to do that. Could you run this without a SID? Sure. Then you'd lose that because you don't have a SID doing that. And then I could. Right now with this module, for instance, it doesn't actually write anything to the bus. It will on the newer version because calibration would be a lot easier if I could automate that, and I will have that being done by the 64 itself. But with that, I don't need to worry about that. So, yeah. So, and that's really what it really comes down to, is it gives you a way to sort of play with and enjoy the vast library that exists of all of this music that's out there. And if I listen, this is the Model D making the sound there. I can pick which voice I want to do that, and I can add the other voices in there if I want to. And if I want to, I can change this, run the speed, any speed I want to. If I want to change the filter cutoff, if the song has a filter on it, I can adjust the filter for the song here. So that's that. I'm trying to think of another really, really interesting song. Yeah, like I said, it also supports the digi playback, at least if it's going to D418. Yeah, this one's kind of fun to play with too. Let me get this guy here. He's up. So yeah, and that's literally my modular synth is playing SID tunes and it's doing whatever I want to do to modulate those and play with those if I want to. If I want to change the sound, I can do whatever I want to plug in stuff. So that's what I've been kind of working on for a little bit, and you know, this will also, because something else happens to use the 6502, it'll even play. Oh yeah, this is kind of fun. If I don't like the one sound, I can bring out one of the voices if I want to. I just want to hear that. If I don't want that, I can change the volume of the individual voices if I want to, so I can kind of tailor the song to how I want it to sound like.
I can do a remix album.
Pretty much. I want to use square waves on this, I can. But if you want to see it work with the actual 64, it's going to take me a couple minutes, and you can watch me build a SID chip in modular if you like, or I can show some other songs on here if you want to hear what this sounds like with the virtual SID, doing one voice going to the Model D here, or I can start literally unplugging every one of these and then try some actual songs in the 64, and we can build a SID chip together in modular. It's just going to take about a minute, so let's do that. Give me a little bit of time. Turn this guy off so I don't zap anything. Make sure that I'm going to touch that, make sure that's still going. Okay. Yes, sir. Certainly, absolutely. You know what, please do while I'm doing this, because it's going to take me a minute. Okay. No. This is all being emulated in real time. So what we've got is the Daisy is what it's called. It's the Daisy, the patch here. It's emulating the Commodore 64 on the ARM chip. So both the VIC chip, at least as far as the interrupts go, the CIAs, and the SID chip as far as generating the sound. And one of the cool things I wanted to mention is it's not a resid, it's not a port of resid. It's my own bespoke software. But the cool part about that is the oscillators are properly anti-alias, so that they actually sound really, really good. It's not just a simple clone of how the software or the hardware works in the SID chip. It actually internally is converting it to an anti-alias sawtooth or square or whatever, that sort of thing. So they actually sound very clean.
The other part of this is that, and I'll just Jason do that.
Yeah.
There's two parts. So what he's done is he's made them, like when you see the modular SID, there's so many of these little, modular for a reason, there's modules in it. What he's created is a SID module that emulates a C64 and it has the output of a SID. So that's what you were hearing. So it's when it's playing, that's emulating the 64 and then playing the SID. But because he knows what the registers are that are going to the SID, he's able to intercept those and say, you know, I want to turn that into CV and gate and send that to my Moog, because I like the sound of that better and plays it a little more, right? So that's what that module does. Is it plays a SID in 1, 2, 3 voices, 4 technically because of this, the digi.
Yeah.
Or I can intercept one of those and say, route that to my modular, route that to my Moog.
That's what he can do on the fly.
Right.
And that's what it's
so
doing.
What you were hearing is actually his emulated Commodore playing on that little Daisy.
It's emulating the whole thing.
Right, and then what he's doing now is there's a cartridge sticking in a Commodore where we grab the rights to D401. The D400 is where the SID exists. We grab the rights to that address and turn them into CV and gate, so that there's no bespoke software running on the Commodore at all. You can go to game.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
I want to intercept
It's going to be
those.
in real time.
Pardon me?
Now it's going to be in real time.
Real time from a real 64.
Commodore
Absolutely.
trying to write to the SID.
It is right into
But
the
he's
SID,
gonna
and we
hit
let
the
it go
SID.
to the SID.
Yeah.
We just grab that, intercept it, and that's part of the
You know,
of that little cartridge.
When you look at the SID chip, you've got envelopes, you've got amplifiers to control the amplitude of the waveforms. So these modules here are my envelopes. I don't have the registers for the envelopes set out yet because I'm literally just finished this cartridge now. I started it a month ago. So Yeah, no, it's okay. But just saying. So these are my envelopes that I'm going to use. I can set the ADSR on these individually, and then these will run to these modules here, which are amplifiers.
And I know the 1541 Ultimate 2 Plus also can intercept SID, but you're not using that, right?
No, that I am using as it's just a floppy drive. It's just using it as a floppy drive, and then for the snapshot, which, by the way, I own a snapshot, so I don't feel bad running it on the Ultimate. It's just like I said, it takes a moment to set it up, and I'll be done shortly. But so what I'm doing here is now I'm connecting the gates to the envelopes here, so that the SID, when it's triggering the different voices for their gate, it'll trigger my envelopes for my gates. So, and one of the things I like to do when I do that is I like to just, these modules here have LEDs that shine when you enable them, so I like to hook up to that just so you can kind of see a little blinky lights when the gates are being active. It also helps for when you're calibrating this, because that was the thing. I needed a way to be able to say what value for the DAC is going to equate to an octave. So, well, I needed to write a program to help me interactively do that. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. I've got to write a GUI. I've got to write all this stuff. I was like, why don't I just do this in BASIC? And I hadn't written Commodore 64 BASIC code since I was a kid, but it came back like I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, I'll just do this. I'll input. It's fine. And it's done. It was like, look at that. I finished it in a night, and I didn't have to write any fancy display routines. I didn't have to do anything. It just had to work, and it did. That was really, really got a lot of fun. So we'll do this. So these now I'm wiring up. See, this is the beauty of this is I get to pick what the waveforms are. So right now I'm picking square waves to go into my my voices, but because these
this cartridge is going to have multiple, like so many more.
Yeah.
Outputs. Because like for every voice, you get what is it?
It's 8 registers.
Wave, sawtooth wave, pulse wave, and noise. So you need 4 outputs for every voice. That's 12 right there. We don't have 12 outputs right now. We just have whatever is enabled, and you can route it to whatever you want. So
It's a work in progress.
Full SID chip on a modular synth would be huge.
But that's what the goal is with this, and I've got most of the modules that I need to do that. The other modules that I don't have for that, I'm going to build. Yeah, it's just a matter of time. So I'm going to envelope 2, and then I'll run some software to show you. It's if you go with the Behringer stuff, it's not as expensive as it looks. So it's not cheap, but at the same time, it's not that bad. And it's like I said, it's a hoot. It's just a matter of doing all this stuff under pressure. Well, this module here, for instance, is $64. Like that's it. That's all. And it's multiple, what they call mults and some gates. These envelopes, I think they were maybe $100 because they're Behringer stuff. They tend to be a little cheaper, but they do work, and they work reasonably well. No, there's about there's other modules that I don't have here, so I got to remember not to include those. But yeah, there's at least 15 to 2K in this, I think. Yeah, about that. I think in all, I think I ended up spending about 35 on the whole modular system, but it does whatever I want it to, which is what's a lot of fun about it. Okay, so now I've wired up the SID chip, so I've got my oscillators here. I've picked my waveforms. I've got my envelopes here to drive it. I'm just going to bring up the release a little bit and bring that down, and then I've got my mixer here to set up what's going where. And now I'm going to start running the SID chip. So let's do that. The thing is with that, I need to see what it's doing. I need to pick a different disk. I'm going to kill it. Oh, I turned it off. So I need, is it going to find my thumb drive that's in there? I hope so. Why is it not showing my thumb drive? That's great. I didn't see it there. There it is. This is a really weird way to do this, but well, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to go into calibrator. So again, yeah, I'm using a multiple cartridge expander so I can run both my cart and the Ultimate 64. The Ultimate 64 is not too happy with that, but it does work.
What's it complaining about?
It just glitches. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like it. No. And my cart, for what it's worth, isn't writing anything to the bus right now. At this stage, it's only listening. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, like I said, what I'm using a Raspberry Pi RP2040 Pico, and I've got some extra chips on here to help it along because I don't have a lot of GPIO on that. And it's just listening to the bus. When the clock signal's high, I know that is usually for the CPU to be writing to the bus or reading from the bus, and then I look at the write signal. If I see the write pin go low and I see that the clock pin is high, I've got a couple chips here that are set up as 8-bit comparators, and if it sees D4 on the most significant byte and the write pin is low, it sends a bit to this guy to say, hey, somebody's writing to the SID, and I've got the lower 8 address bits and the 8 data bits, and then I can grab that, and then I can go, okay, I know that this is a write to voice 1 pitch, and now I can update my output to the DAC. So the problem with this is you need to calibrate it. So we've got to do that right now. So we're going to do that right now because, and this is just, again, I needed something to be able to calibrate this, so I just wrote it in BASIC and it works. And I should be able to, if I do this, yeah, you can see the LEDs coming on, although I expected more sound from that. Oh, I didn't turn them on. So I should. Okay, now that's working. So now we're going to set, basically what the value we have to set is how much do I write to the DAC to represent 1 volt, which represents a jump in 1 octave. So we're going to, and that can kind of change based on the temperature, based on where if I wiggle this cart a little bit, oh, that's, now that I've fixed that power supply issue, that's not as much of a problem. Well, I think it was 850. You know, they get frustrated with it and things like that. Oh, and that's exactly why, yeah. And that's the nice thing about the DAISY patch is all the oscillators for the SID that's being emulated are digital oscillators. So here I'm using the real SID to generate a tone, and I can do kind of play with the calibration. I do it by ear. And if I don't hear too much phasing, then like first off, I can listen to this and go, nah, it's a bit out of tune. And then I can go, that guy's got a hot signal. I'll tune this guy. And in my opinion, and I've used this live once, and I'll never use it live again because it was great, but it was like, oh shit, I touched something, oh crap. So I get it. It's kind of fucky in a way, but it's part of the charm, if you will. It's when it works great, and it's something to do. It's a lot of fun. So there we go. Now we just have to commit that to the card, W, and it's saying, are you sure? Yes. And like I said, I just did this a couple nights ago, and it's just all basic, and it works. So, oh, I'm sorry, your laptop's gone to sleep. So we'll reset the computer. I'm going to pick a different disk. Don't mind me while I do this. I think this is it here. We'll mount that disk, reset this, and then run this guy. What did I do? There we go. Did I pick the right one? Yes, I did. This is just a SID player. So this, again, I haven't made any changes to this code. This could be a game. It could be anything that's going to run, make the SID do something. So this is just a SID player that exists. And I can pick songs. So for instance, this one here, invention.basic. If I run that guy. And you should hear both the SID and this running. Now, if I want to, say I don't like that, I want triangles. I want triangles. And it's literally a SID guts laid out for you right here, and you can kind of play with it. If I want to do, well, this one. Which one's the bass one? What's that? If I do this guy here, but I want to have pulse width modulation on that, well, I wire it up to an LFO. So I can set the speed of that if I want to. And that's it. So like I said, when this is done, the envelopes right now are done with these envelopes here, so they're going to run whatever envelope setting I set them to. And when this is all completed, I'll actually have modules that'll do the SID envelope, so everything for the SID will be controlled these wires. Sure. That's the actual SID when it's playing. And that's the other fun part about this is one of the things I thought was really cool, especially because with the module that I made with the DAISY is I've got, you can't really see it with the camera, but I've got all the registers printed on the screen. And you can see what the programmers were doing with the SID in live. And you can stop it and have a look. And you'll often see like they'll have selected the sawtooth width, but they'll be playing with the pulse width. I'm like, why? I don't know. You'll see there's a song being played on a voice, but the gate is off, and it's just because of the way they were writing whatever it is they were doing their songs. You normally wouldn't hear that, and you can see it going on. And I always thought that was kind of neat. It's like something's happening there, but we're not supposed to hear that. Or like you saw when it stopped, maybe they wrote something to the pitch register, and then I happened to pick it up, and because they turned the gate off or turned the oscillator off, you wouldn't hear that, but just happened to pick that up. So the one issue that I have right now is with the noise oscillator. Those aren't usually musically related to what you're playing. So if you hear if the song's got a lot of noise, you might hear some really funny pitches. I do filter them out on this guy. It's a little harder with that to do it, but I'm working on that. Otherwise, you hear this weird blip, blip, or these sort of little blurps and stuff like that from the noise.
It's a unique noise generator. It's a pitchable noise, which is
Yeah.
not really what noise is, right? So JC's noise generators are there are true white noise, which the SID is not. You get that, which you hear on
Let me
that
just
SID.
go to a different tune here.
There isn't a module for that.
Well, there will be. That's one of the ones I'm going to build. So when I build the actual whole SID in a modular synth, I'll have well, let's do Whizball. Why not? I'll have a SID noise generator in a module. That doesn't sound right at all, but it sounds pretty cool. But if I want to, I can. Like I said, I want to hear that with. Imagine Whizball in a 11 contest sort of thing where the sound can only be played with triangles, and you can get that sort of sound. If I want to. No, I didn't wire the reverb. But that's, again, if I want a reverb, I gotta plug it over here and patch in the reverb, but that's okay. Want to use sawtooth? Plug in sawtooth. And if I want to use a filter, well, I've got a filter over here. I can use it. This is the fun part. I touched one of the knobs, and now it's horribly out of tune. And now I'm mad. Which bloody knob did I touch? So this is why I wrote that calibrator program. So, is that ever awful? That's part of the fun, though. It's like, shit, I touched that. No, I
You
deal with it.
also could have loaded Whizball the game. And it would sound
Oh yeah, that's the thing I'll do. I'll load Barbarian in the game, and you'll see. I got to recalibrate this thing now. Just give me 2 seconds, but am I on there? Yeah. So the calibrator is 2 up. One of the things I thought was really fascinating about firing up this old Commodore was how quickly the cursor keys came back. I'm so used to using other cursor, just the shift. Like it was innate. It was really kind of fun. Loading? Yeah, it is. Hopefully this is the right one. It is. So with this, all I have to do is just, that ain't right. And if I do, I think it's, 1 sec, A0, B, C0. 1 moment, please. I apologize. I touched the wrong thing. That one's out. That one's that.
I find it hard to tune in low octave like that.
Those guys are okay. Just surprising. Okay, close enough. So, nuts. I didn't commit it, but I don't want to commit it. No, but the cartridge is still in that mode. I got to remember what the poke is. Well, I can load the basic program and find out. Oh shit, I'm still in this mode. Am I on the calibrator? No, I'm not. Where am I? Enter? No, I don't want to be there. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, here. Is it running? Yes, it is. Okay. 850. I think 850. What did we work at? 855. This is not a smart way to put the monitor, was it? That's not. Did that restore it? No, it didn't. All right, I'll just do this. And we will get. You know what? I'm gonna do that. There we go. How smart is that?
We can see it on over here if you turn it on.
Yeah, I tried that. It wasn't good. I mean, it's not a bad idea though. I had a slideshow at the beginning, and I wanted people to be able to see that. So I should. There we go. If I do 0850. Okay, I got it. W. Yes. And now I'll pick a game. No, not with that button. This button. Back. We'll do this guy. Yeah, you can hear the noise. Not happy about that, but that's okay. All right. Enable. 1. No. Let's load. And what I'll do with this is sort of, that's it caught a write to D400, but I haven't finished the PLA part of the emulation, so it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm making noise, and it's actually writing the game code. One of the things like I have to do is finish the PLA emulation, where if I sense that if you would disable the SID, it will not accept writes to the SID. But that's okay. There it goes, and that's the SID. That's this guy doing this. And I think it's one of these keys enables the music. There it is. You can hear the SID here, but so now, there's my bass. So I want to have a filter on that, right? So I'm going to have to patch it into a filter. So I take this, go into a filter. Let's go to this guy. But the filter's not doing anything, so now I need to run the filter into an envelope. So I'll take the control input, run it to an envelope here. Now I got to trigger the envelope, so I got to run his gate, and I'll pick voice 3, but I don't have to. I could have the filter being gated by voice 2 if I wanted. But that sounds kind of flat, so I want to add PWM to that. So again, I wire this up to an LFO. I don't like how that's too. I use sawtooth for this guy. And if I want to, I can pan the voices in stereo. And this is what I do when I've got nothing else to do, when I want to play around and listen to some music and enjoy myself. And it's a lot of fun to do. It's what it is. That's pretty much my demo. Thank you. If you have any questions, by all means, or if there's a song you want to hear and I have it, I'll be happy to play it. Right now, I'm set up to run with the Commodore. To set it up to run with the Daisy, I gotta undo all this and then repatch that. But it's fine. Right now, it's listening to the SID. Like I said, I'm going to release all this. It'll be open source freeware. The cartridges, you can download the files and build your own if you want to. I just haven't finished yet. So, and yes. HammondEggsMusic.ca is my website. Most of the stuff that's on there is my plugins that I've been developing and things like that, but I'm going to be adding this stuff as well to that site. I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. And, yeah. So that's it. That's just, like I said, if you got any questions or if anything you want to hear or anything else you want me to do, or sure, go ahead.
Because you mentioned the voices, silent voices doing nothing. So what are the challenges about getting things like synchronization or ring modulation produced?
It's funny you mentioned some of the challenges. I'll get to the sync and ring mod in a second here, but one of the challenges, the biggest stinking challenge that I have is, for instance, a game like Lazy Jones or even the synth sample by York File. They use what I like to call micro gates. Normally, a gate signal for a synthesizer is tied to pressing a key on a keyboard. So it's slow and dopey. Like it's just, very on, off, on, off. But what some of these guys will do, sorry, I just wanted to wiggle it and make sure it was good. some of these guys, what they'll do is they'll literally LDA, number dollars 11, store in the control register, and then load 10 to the control register right afterwards. So the SID doesn't mind that, and it'll happily trigger the envelope, but you end up with what is effectively about a 4 or 5 microsecond gate, which is utterly useless for something like this. It's not going to make it down the wire. It's too short. And with this thing, what I was able to do, because I'm emulating, I go, I sense that, and I actually stretch it. So if it's a gate that's only brought up really slow, I'll stretch that gate out. But then you have the opposite problem. What York File does, and what Lazy Jones do, is they have the opposite, where the gate is high and they bring it down and then right back up to re-trigger the SID, which the SID is quite happy to do because it's digital. But you end up with a 4 microsecond low gate, and the only way I was able to solve that was to delay everything by about 5 or 6 milliseconds. And then when I see that happening, I basically say, for the next 5 milliseconds, you're outputting a 0. So I had to do some fun stuff to work around that. As far as the sync and ring mod goes on this, it's my own SID emulator. So I was able to implement that. For ring mod, for this, these oscillators support sync input, which you can do, and my module that I'm going to be working on will allow me to be able to say, patch the voice into here, and then it'll send out the sync if required to the other oscillator, and so on. But with the ring mod, the ring mod and the SID is very different. I have a ring modulator on here, but it's an analog ring modulator. SID ring mod is very much either the waveform is inverted or it's not. So I'm going to be building a module that will allow me to, if you put a signal into it, and if the other signal is high, it's fine. If it's not, it's inverted. That's all it'll do. So it'll emulate that SID ring mod sort of sound. So yeah, you're right. It is a challenge. It's something to deal with, but it's just a matter of doing it. And I did it in VC. I did all this actually years ago in VCV Rack, which is a PC application that does virtual modular synthesis, and I was able to bring out all the SID registers. But the funny thing with that is because it's all digital and it's all virtual, those micro gates, I call them, didn't matter because it was all done digitally. This being analog, you need at least 5 milliseconds, maybe more, for the gates for them to be able to actually trigger, or they just don't. Or they won't let go, and you're like, what's going on? This doesn't sound right. And then so, like I said, I had to work around. That was the biggest challenge, that one. And as well, for this guy, initially with the original PSID files, which are literally a load address or an init address and then a play address, most of the stuff just ran fine with that. But the minute I started to want to play songs that use digis or use anything like that, I had to actually emulate the CIA, and then I had to actually emulate the VIC if it was using a VIC interrupt. And then the other challenge is some songs want the kernel to be there, some songs don't, and I don't know why. And it's just some songs assume the kernel. So then I didn't want to just copy the kernel into this. I didn't have enough code space to really do that anyways, and I'm sure there's copyright issues. So I had to write a little mini kernel that had enough of the kernel to support the interrupts to be able to do the stuff that the songs were expecting to have. So it's not 100% compatible, but I'm working on that. But I was playing with the SID player on the 64 itself, and it's not 100% compatible either, so I don't feel too bad. All right. That was nice and quick. What are we at here? Oh, actually, it wasn't. 45 minutes. Yes, sir.
Can you give us an example of some of the synth samples?
You know what? I can load that synth sample song. I don't have it on here, so I'm going to have to switch it up to this guy, which means... Do you know what's funny? Miami Vice has that one song that has that really trippy sort of sound. They do some funny stuff with the pitch when the gate is off on that song. So what it tends to do is it sounds a little weird. I'll turn that off. And if I patch this up in 2 minutes, I'll have the other guy going. Yeah, like I said, this is... A lot of people will get into modular and then they'll be like, I don't know what to do with it. And it's like after you've kind of made it do some sounds and stuff like that, it's like, well, I don't know what to do with it. It's like, well, now you've got something that you can do. And like I said, there's a huge library to listen to. And you can just have some fun listening to some music and just playing around with it. So I'm going to go. You're right, that song is actually a really good one to pick from. I kind of wish I had done that earlier. This, fortunately, I've done a few times, so I know what I need to do. All right, so we're going to take this guy. We're going to use, well, we don't need to use a filter for that one, but we will anyways. All right. CV out to the filter. Frequency, and then this guy will go, the pink one. All right, we'll go into here. And then my CV out here. We'll go to this guy. Oscillator, and this guy. This thing annoyingly has 2 separate gate inputs, but that's okay. Time tell you, I used to come. I remember coming to walk in, I think it was '87, and it was at the International Center, and it's admittedly really nice to see that everything is still the scene is still alive, so to speak. It's making me really happy to be doing this. So, all right, what or in a moment.
Were you at the World of Common?
Way back when I was a kid, we went and to walk at the International Center.
It was 84. Was it?
I remember it was when we moved to Toronto, so it would have been like '87, '86. Bought a whole whack ton of Vic games because I still had a Vic then, and they were cheap, which was nice. Okay, so this should be working. What's that? Oh, is it? Oh, is it? What time is it? Okay, well, I got 5 minutes, and then I will shut this. So we'll do. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. There's another chip that uses the 6502, which is the Nintendo, which I also emulate in here and send it as control voltage, but we don't have time for that. Sorry. That one is actually what was an even bigger challenge than the SID because of the way that, here we go. Because the way the envelopes work on the NES is not normal. All right, and then I'll be able to get out of the next guy in no time. There we go.
So is there a particular song that gave you a hard time?
Now we got. There we go. And that's how long it takes to wire up for this guy. It's not too bad. Again, I've done it a couple times before. So here I've got the. And there we go. All right, I gotta get out of the way for the next guy. So I appreciate you guys all coming in. Thank you very much. Thank you for indulging me. All right, I'll get out of the way now.